And welcome back to another episode of the Fintan podcast, the home of dysfunctional rugby league. Now you were joined, as always, by the sultry tones of Fintan Smith, but unfortunately, another episode, another absence of the champ, the reigning, defending, undisputed Fintan podcast tipping champ G. On today's record, the birthday girl, she is missing. Once again, I'll leave it up to you whether you think being on placement at a hospital as an occupational therapist student is a good enough excuse. So I don't know. Some people question the validity of that. It seems pretty weird to use that 3 weeks in a row. I don't know. But again, I'll leave that up to you whether you think it's that's a fair shout or not. But look, we're riding solo once again. Shout out JD, my man. Now, look, get straight into it. The nuts and bolts of it. Look, the tipping. Another round, another failure. I go down to 7 with 6 rounds to go. I'm down 7 to the champ. Poor performance from both of us. I got 3, she got 4. So just ugly football all round. Now, I'm starting to see people are starting to question, and I'm confused where this is coming from. I've been pretty adamant in that this is bigger than us. This is bigger than you, and it's bigger than me. My tipping performance. Any usual year, I'm going 8 for 8. I'll be modest. Out of 22 rounds, I probably would have went 8 for 8, 19 of those. In any other round. Any other year. Something about this season, something about the pot. It's bigger than us, and it's bigger than me, and there are external forces at play that are out of my control, and I thought that was obvious, to be frank with you. To be frank, I thought it was obvious for you, but apparently people question, I've got Anakin here, he's saying that, I've got to quit being desperate. Where's that coming from? I've got Josh, he's here questioning that I've been going for the upsets, and it's cost me too much ground. Season's over, pack her up, boys. I don't understand where this is coming from, and I've been trying to pin down what exactly this force is, so, we can turn this around. I thought that potentially it was G's presence. And then when she missed the episode, it turns out maybe not, because I went down another vote. You're going, okay. Now, am I just getting hit by an injury curse? Again, as I said, Bradman's hamstring was perfectly fine to score the match winner against Queensland. Following round, 10 minutes in, he's in the showers. Where'd that come from? I see the Broncos form that game against Newcastle. Why I tipped Newcastle. Bradman does his hamstring, game over. Broncos look, oh my God, I thought it's going to take them more than a week. They are playing football like they think they deserve points, not that they have to earn them. But the blow of the Knights, you're like, okay, so you tip them against the Bulldogs, you go, surely they'll go back-to-back. Reynolds, he fit right in, steered the boys around. They're at Suncorp. No thanks, they're actually going to get pumped 41-14 off the top of my head. I mean, just a lot of bad beats. But, as you guys are questioning, it actually got me realizing and thinking, I think I know now what the external force is. And I'm talking right to them. Now, I'm not going to out here say it's your fault, but I think the facts and the evidence is pretty alarming, and it is stacking up rapidly. Okay, you look at the hard, cold facts, the truth of the matter. Round 12, I start posting to Instagram. I'm trying to up the content game. I'm trying to build a community, because you're not my listeners, you're my friends, At least that's what I thought. And so I start posting. I'm trying to keep it engaged. To do so, yeah, okay, I'd start buying into the crowd, because I'd been hearing rumors that people are looking for a new, the world's in turmoil. People are looking for someone to believe in, and I thought I could be that guy. So I start going for the big play, the big upset, the big lift. For God's sakes, the Dragons have beat Penrith. Oh my God, yes, they win at Win, but Jesus, Fintan, think with your fucking head, not your heart. Queensland will win Game 3 in Origin this year. No, it just wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to fucking happen, but it did anyway. The Tigers to beat the Wires at a sold-out Auckland Stadium. I mean, come on, son. You tip him with your heart. I'm going for the big play, going for the big lift, and yeah, I'm trying to impress you. And in as a consequence, I'm slipping down that ladder. I'm slipping down that leaderboard. Now, if you look at it, you go, okay, there's 6 rounds left. I'm down 7. It's obtainable, and it is not out of the question. But I just think, a bit of an honesty session. I think you guys need to put your hand up and say, hey, this one's on me. Okay, I'll say my part. Yes, I tried to impress you by going the big upsets, going the big lift. And it's bit me in the ass spectacularly. And I'll leave a minute here for you guys to accept some responsibility for that. Okay, thank you very much. Now, look, now that you've owned up to that, I think, now this week we're going 8 for 8. I can just feel it. And I'm not desperate anymore. I'm thinking with my head, not my heart. I'm just going to tip cold, hard, honest rugby league facts. And we're going to knock it out of the park this week. And now, if this doesn't work, then I probably need to see the apology in writing. And that could be the next step. But as we move into key talking points of the week, I don't, this is Eyes Up Rugby League. So look, we're not statisticians here. We're not stats men and women. We're looking for what do we see, what do we feel, what tells us, what speaks to us. Now, a few key things this week, not many, as far as I'm concerned. Stefano officially tells the Tigers he's leaving, but for God's sakes, I thought he said that 3 months ago, so I was a bit out of the loop there. Making it official, to me, he was gone. He was already gone, so doesn't, Val Holmes, that's one. That's a rumour swirling about that the Cowboys tell him he's free to leave. Now, look, he has had a bad year. He is a top, he is a top 5 outside back on his day with his resume in this comp. I don't think that's a ludicrous thing to say. He's had a tough year. I do not think his defense. That's the thing. It's his defense. It's not his ball running. It's his defense. His kicking's down. His errors are up, and his defense is horrendous. If he wasn't the goal kicker for Queensland this year, I think he would have got dropped. I honestly think he would have got dropped for Gago. But he didn't miss a single kick all series. So that was genuinely his saving grace. Because even in Origin, when he was taking tough carries, he was making errors, like silly errors. But regardless, apparently he's been told he can move on. And the Dragons, once again at the top of the frame, as they always are, just like they were with Manu. Just like, there's rumours Toto's been shopped around. Wouldn't be surprised to see the Dragons name attached to that one, although that's ludicrous. There's no way he moves. And if he does, it will only be to the Tigers, you'd think. But Jesus, son, think of your future. I know Luai's your boy, but yeah, that's I don't think you want to wish that upon anyone right now. But yeah, look, he's been shipped around for the Dragons. He'd be excellent. I think I'd play him. If you believe in Sloan, play him on the wing. Perfect replacement for Lomax. Goal kicking, ball running, meter eating winger. It's like for like. It is as like for like as you'll get. So I think that would make all the sense in the world. You could play him at fullback. I just wouldn't play him at centre. So that'll be interesting. Not a whole lot of other news that I can think of. Not a whole lot of news to go with. It's obviously Olympic season, Olympic fever at the moment. It's that sort of taking the headlines. But if we look at the round results, what do we have? And look, as you can hear by the time this will probably be a shorter episode. Again, it's Olympic fever, so it's hard to juggle all the football, especially again when you're plumbing into getting 3 out of 8. It does get tough to find the motivation to enjoy watching football. when you're your own worst enemy, it's tough to be your viewing partner. But we kicked off this week with the Warriors defeating the Tigers 28-16. If you're being fair dinkum, that first 40 minutes was probably the toughest 40 minutes of football all year. It was a stinkfest. The Warriors had all the ball and all the territory, but they couldn't score. And if they scored, it was just because the Tigers suck. But even in saying that, the Tigers, I don't know, it was 70-30 possession, but it was 8-0 at one point. Right? And you're going, the Tigers are in this. If they can just get some ball, just get some field position, they're in this. And that's what it was. At one point, I think they got it to 14-8, something like that. And you're thinking, okay, that they're in this. If that possession evens up, they're in this. But no. The Warriors couldn't score. They couldn't attack. They looked dreadful. But the Tigers look worse. And the Tigers, oh my days. You just associate the Tigers with poor decision making. Just dumb football. I associate it with the Bulldogs, like at their best, I think they play fuck it football. Fuck it footy, as we've been calling it. I think the Tigers just play dumb footy. More like fuckhead footy. They just play dumb. The problem is, and it would just be so frustrating to be Benji or Appy, like, they wait until they're regaining momentum. They wait until they're on a roll, where they're starting to put it together. That's when they decide to shit the bed. I've never seen worse decision making and more ill discipline than I have from the Tigers this year. It is incredible. Every time you think they've turned momentum, they've turned the tides, they're coming back, they go, no, we don't want to win. We're pretty chuffed getting a three-peat. Hey, Penrith, yours was cool, ours is better. It's made of wood. So, dickhead. I don't get it. It was just a tough watch. You move on to the next week. The next game. The Eels go down 14-32 to the Melbourne Storm. Now, I only got to watch half the first game and fractions of this game because we're out, which is a real shame. But the Storm are Storm. Now, people are acting surprised that Eels scored first or looked somewhat competitive. It's like, no. They're one of the weirder wooden spoon contenders. Again, you watch the Eels, the Tigers, you go, I know why you're there. You look at the Eels, you go, I don't know why you're there. Their position on the ladder comes down to poor roster management, not poor playing ability or poor discipline. By which I mean, it's obvious. They lost Moses, that period where they had no Moses, no Gutherson, they didn't win. They genuinely might have won 1 or 2 games without Moses, and now he's out again. It's poor roster management because they don't have anyone to step into those shoes. That's why they're at the bottom. But they can beat anyone. They're too good to be down there. Especially, they just have a knack for when it comes to Melbourne and Penrith. They beat them more than anyone. They just have that ability. So them scoring first was no surprise. Them scoring 14 points, also no surprise. But ultimately, they just, they from what I've seen, what I've heard, they were brave, but they just don't have the spark without Moses. He's their killer. Something on the Eels I forgot to mention, the other sort of big talking point that's gaining a bit of momentum is that, do they send Gutho packing? Or if not packing, do they put Talangi at fullback and move Gutho to the centres? Now, I personally think that's ludicrous. I think it's crazy. I think Gutherson is one of the most underappreciated players in the comp. He's just all effort. He's all tenacity. He is very Dylan Edwards. He's just all effort. He would have more try savers than anyone in the last 5 years. I mean, he's just always there. Yes, he looks sore. He looks hurt. He's playing hurt. I think that's a fact, not just eye test. But I think it was last year he scored 20. It was either last year or the year before. He scored, 20 plus tries? 20 plus assists? So that's down this year, but his effort's sky high. And especially in defense, he saves so many tries. He saves more tries than Parramatta create. So putting Talangi there, he's a freak, but I don't understand the narrative of how a guy with 10 games experience just automatically should usurp a guy with 200 games experience. And also, he's the club captain. I don't get that. And he's not playing bad. I don't get that. I think you would be crazy to do that, personally. Especially if you want to move him to the centers and you think because of his defense he can lock that up and you want to put Talangi there for speed and X factor, I get that. It makes sense. It makes sense. I wouldn't do it, but that makes sense. But the rumors about shopping him, that's crazy. That's crazy. I don't rate that at all. Because you could also, if you really wanted to, I would rather, at this stage, put Lomax at fullback than Talangi. If you're gonna move Gutherson. And I would let I would let Talangi develop on the wing and Gutherson in the centres. Pardon me. That makes more sense. But who knows? As for Melbourne, I think they had like one play the ball the whole game in Parramatta 20. They scored 32 points. It's incredible. Great to see Munster back. Great to see Munster, Falonga, Grant, Wishy, Hughes, Pappy all in the field at the same time. You know, I've been saying it for weeks. I think moving forward, Wishy's been a freak. Munster's our 6th though. I think Wishy should be 13. I think he can play that Connor Watson perfect. Now, if you don't want to carry Falong on the bench, because in all reality he is a luxury, I get that too. I love having Wishy at 13. And see, if you want forwards on the bench, I put him at 13 and Trent Liero on the bench, 3 forward bench with Falongo. That solves your problems right there. Because Wishy could play, 30 minutes or whatever. Harry Grant needs a spell. He moves into 9. Liero comes into 13. You obviously know he's Mr. Versatile. He can cover all those positions. You've got then Falongo on the bench for back coverage. That's how I would play it. But yeah, it was awesome to see them all in the field at the same time. Munster I've never seen him look so fit. Now to hear that he's going to have to get double hip surgery at the end of the year is insane. Like double hip surgery is something you associate with old people, Grandma had a double hip surgery. Old Fred down the street, had his hips done. You wouldn't associate it with an athlete, a 30-year-old athlete at the peak of his powers. So this groin injury, it's a toughie, but he come out, he looks fresh, he looks fit, he looks so lean, like his legs. Never seen that man's legs look so toned, but he brings confidence. Now he's got to build, obviously, but he brings confidence to a team that's already winning, and everyone keeps writing them off, saying they're fans, saying this, saying that. What's that? 5, 6 in a row, top of the ladder by two games. What do you want from us, brah? What do you want from us, bro? Well, winning the comp is that simple. Sorry to tell you. But yeah, another Melbourne game, another Melbourne win. Can't say the same for the Broncos, though, who go down to the Doggies 16-41. Pardon me. Look, this, again, I watched this game in pieces, and, it was a debate where I was more disappointed in myself with the Broncos. Of all the upsets I tipped this week, like for God's sakes, I tipped the Dragons to beat Penrith. Do you know what I mean? I tipped the Tigers to beat the Warriors. But the Bulldogs beating Brisbane didn't cross my mind. Like, how the fuck, how did that one slip away from me? Who's got worse defense, me or the Broncos edges? Now, that's a silly question because it's obviously the fucking Broncos edges. I mean, holy, have you heard of adjusting? Kevin? Have you heard of adjusting? Now, even if you don't want to put the blame at the top, Kevy Walters, of course, because it was a coaching masterclass by Cam Serraldo, who comes out with an attack you haven't seen all year, used and abused, scooted and booted the Broncos edges, but it was the same play every time. So I don't think you can put it on Kevy. You got to put it on the players. Like, how do you not see what's happening and not know how to adjust? Like, if they adjust and they keep scoring because they're just so in sync, okay, fair enough. They didn't, from minute 1 to minute 80, the Bulldogs did the same set every single set. They'd get the ball, they'd run it straight for 1 or 2 tackles, second, third, fourth, it would just shift. Shift, straight to the left, straight to the right. They did it both sides. They didn't really care. And they would break every time. 30, 40, 50, 60 meter break, full field try. It didn't matter. They were so smooth, and the Broncos' edges just did not defend. They didn't try. They never recovered. It was incredible to watch. Like, these are elite athletes at the peak of their powers, and they cannot adjust to the same play every time. It's not like they were hitting them with chips or bombs or kicks or, running crazy X's or crazy shape. It was literally just drawing past down an edge. It was incredible. So shout out to the Bulldogs. I've been saying it a while, but they are, They're more than a top 4 contender. They are the real deal this year. Now, for me, next year is going to be the interesting year for the Dogs. Basically, anything besides winning the comp this year, I will still question what next year is going to be like. Because you've seen this from the Cowboys. Look at their big jump, and then they haven't played finals since. And this year, they're sitting precariously at 7th or 8th. Look at the Broncos. Went from missing the finals 9th to jumping up to a grand final last year. This year, they're 13th? 14th? They're not playing finals. Even if they do, they're going to have blown their load. So I don't see them making it past week 1. Look at the Sharks. They've made the big jump, and to their credit, they've stayed in the top 8. Haven't won a finals game yet, though. So are the Bulldogs the same? Go from, 15th, 16th, all the way to a top 4 finish. Is it a one and done sort of thing? Are they going to have a hangover? Time will tell in that regard. But this year, like I said, they're more than top 4 for it. They can win this comp. I think you're clear favourite to Melbourne and Penrith. And it does irk me that it's so people. You hear people talk about Penrith like they're untouchable. No. The fucking Dragons beat them. So, what's that tell you, bruh? They're also not top of the table. And the only excuse there is injuries. Look at Melbourne's injuries. Our spine this year has played, 4 games together? The whole fucking year? And we're 2 games clear of Penrith? Who only were missing Cleary. I think that's it. For about the same time as Munster was gone. Anyway. Off topic. But the Bulldogs were unreal. Like, you knew their defense was going to be there. But that attack, it was electric. And I love how, like I said, I can't believe Broncos didn't end that. But I love how committed and ruthless the Bulldogs were. They said, if you want to let us in, we will keep coming. We will keep coming. And they did just that. The Broncos, embarrassing, pathetic, and it sums up their season. Like I said earlier, they play a style of football that it's almost like they feel like they play like they think they deserve points and they deserve wins. Not that they have to earn them or work for them. That is Broncos football. That's why I didn't think Adam Reynolds coming back was just going to save them, because he's so attack-orientated and, takes risks. So I didn't think that was going to save him, which is why I was surprised they beat the Knights so convincingly the week before. But, again, and they don't play as a team. It's just back to individual football. Their only points came from individual plays. Reece off the scrum, Katoni off that kick from the 20-meter line. Yeah, it's very, very disappointing. Pardon me. It's just, I didn't see it coming this year. I thought that, I thought they were going to be a contender this year, so I was wrong. Move on to the next game. The Cowboys defeat the Sharks 30-22. Look, again, didn't get to watch the whole thing. The Cowboys, they win. They get the chocks. Are they back? I don't know. Is that 2 in the trot? Let me check. I think that's 2 in a row. Round 20. Yeah, round 20 they beat the Dogs. The week before they lost by a point. Okay, so they've won 3 of their last 4. The only loss was by 1 point to Manly. So I think the Cowboys are back. The Cowboys are back, and they won this game against, who did they play? The Sharks, who are no slouches. They are a toilet team. So I actually take back that they're no slouches. Thing, they are a toilet team. But they played pretty good football. Missing Will Kennedy was a big loss. Obviously, no Nico, big loss. But the Cowboys, they played big, and they did it without JT and without Cotter, who were both HIA'd. And I think, JT with a fractured eye socket, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, they won. So, at the start of the year, I had them as a top 4 team. And it's crazy to think that this year they haven't been awesome, but they could be a top 4 team. Like, first and second are locked up. Everything after that, it is up for grabs. It is up for grabs big time. But yeah, the Cowboys won. You're starting to see some of that form, some of that belief, some of that swagger that got them to the dance. The top 8 a few years ago. Hopefully it sticks around. As for the Sharks, I mean, it just shows you how friendly the start of the year was and how good they were at the start of the year, which is incredible. Like, their first half of the year was so dominant that now, after only winning, 1 out of their last 6, something like that, they're still third place. Meanwhile, Broncos have done the same thing, and they've fallen all the way to 13th. Like, that just shows you how, A, friendly their schedule was, and B, how good they were at the start of the year, how locked in on the defensive end they were, and how well they played for 80 minutes. To fall off from that has been incredible. The next game, the Roosters defeat Manly 34-30. Look, that score is honestly flattering to Manly. They never got off the bus. It was, 16-0 after 16 minutes for Roosters. And you're going, holy. Manly somehow jacked 3 intercepts, 2 in the last 10 minutes to make it interesting, make it a contest. And, yes, it's flattering. And I take it back a little bit. Like, Manly start was terrible. They didn't get off the bus at the start of the game, but they did enough to hang in there. And once they got the ball, because the Roosters for the first, 20 minutes, would have had to have close to 90% possession. It was all Roosters. But Manly did well enough to hang in there to earn the right to score a couple of tries and keep it close. Unfortunately, their tries, again, 3 of their tries were from intercepts. So I'm not sure if he kicked them. Let's say he got 30, so he might have went 5 for 5. So it's 18 points. So they scored 12 points without intercepts. So again, on one hand, you look at it and go, they were good enough to get those intercepts and good enough to get those points. The other hand, you look at it and go, well, Jesus Christ, their genuine attack was only good enough for 2 tries. And it was when they were getting on top of it and they scored an intercept. No. It was that Michael Jennings had just scored when they were only down by, I think they were down by 8 points. And then Michael Jennings scores that try. And all of a sudden, you're thinking game over. They get the 2 intercepts, but it's not enough. So yeah, the Roosters, a good bounce-back game. They'd be disappointed with their errors late in the game to let Manly back in. Manly, on the other hand, look, again, good enough on one hand, not good enough on the other. It's why I didn't actually think they would win this game, but this was me just trying to get an upset. I genuinely thought Roosters would win. It's just starting to feel like Manly are a 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon Brookvale Oval sort of team. Do you know what I mean? At home, good weather, good crowd, they play good football. Besides that, not so much. Talking about poor football, Sunday brought us the Dragons going down to the Penrith Panthers, 10-46. It was a sold-out WIN stadium. The women playing the opener. All the omens in the air were saying it was too good to be true, and that is absolutely right. Dragons, for that first half, they didn't touch the ball, they didn't get a call, they didn't have any possession, and before you knew it was 16-0. And then before you knew it was 20-0, and then 24. Like, it just... The Dragons, it's... it's one of those games, like, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It's the Dragons, they just, every time you think they've got it together, and you start believing in them, you start believing in them, that's when they hurt you. That's when they go, no, we don't remember how to play football again. He drops Sloan, brings in Fangai, my apologies, brings in Fangai to play fullback for defensive reasons. They let him 46 points. Spoiler alert, Sloane's back this week. Yeah. It was just disappointing because they're better than that. Look, Penrith again. They have the whole squad back. Sons, Edwards, Cleary, 3 tries. 2 tries to this? Great performance. They're just too good. It's why I thought Dragons can win that game. They absolutely can win that game, but it was just disappointing. It's just disappointing. I don't think there's much to point out. It was just disappointing. Ben Hunt had a stinker. Their defense, they didn't defend. They took the night off. And Penrith were ruthless. They did what they did best. And yeah, again, Cleary, he's back, steered the ship. Yeah, just disappointing. That's the vibe. Just like it was for the Dolphins, who lose to the Titans 14-21. Again, problem with these teams, you don't know what you're going to get. Every time I think the Dolphins win, they lose. And the Titans, every time I think they're back, got some momentum, they shit the bed. It was only last week that what happened? Oh, yeah, they went down 38-8 to Manly after winning 8-0. It's interesting. They have got a real trend. I'm not sure if it's happened all year round, but certainly over the last 4 or 5 weeks, they've been getting off to these awesome starts. And again, after 12 minutes, it'll be 12-0. 12, 16, 10, 8. They get off to hot starts and then just have to hold on because they forget how to play after about the 20-minute mark. This week, before you knew it, 20 minutes in, it was 14-0 to the Dolphins. They scored another one, had it disallowed. I can't remember for what. I think I remember thinking it was harsh. I don't know. I can't remember what it was for. Oh yeah. It was an extremely harsh obstruction. I think it was ludicrous personally. Should have been a try, but what would I know? But again, it was 14-0 after about 20 minutes. I turn it off, I turn it back on, and all of a sudden, they're winning. The Titans, you can't pick them. You think they're back. You think they've got that Des DNA, and they start the game getting blown out. I don't know what to think about either of these teams. It's brave as anything for the Dolphins to be where they are on the ladder, and for the Titans, games like this show you how disappointing it is that they're where they are. The last game of the round at GIO Stadium in Canberra, the Raiders defeat the Bunnies 32-12. Didn't watch it. I thought Canberra would win, and they did. So, frankly, that's all I care. Shout out to Alex Johnson, tore his Achilles. It's basically the only thing keeping Ken Irvine's record safe at this point. But yeah, in all seriousness, that's terrible. So, wishing you a speedy recovery. He listens. But the Raiders, with Fogarty back, they're a different side. They're just a different side. And that's honestly, it's as simple as that. Look what a genuine 7 can do for you. Who would have thought? All right, let me get a drink. Sorry, no G. I feel like I'm kind of speed running this episode. Like I said, it's Olympics fever. And it's also a work in uni fever. Peek behind the curtains. I'm an SLSO, so I work at a primary school with kids all days. And with kids who are demanding, shall we say. So it can be pretty draining. And I'm also doing my primary teaching degree at the moment. So I do that online, so, I'm working with these demanding kids, and I love them. I absolutely love the job. I love the kids. They're demanding, and they are quite tiring, and they drain you. So I work with them in the day, and then I come home, and I'm doing my teaching degree. Oh my God, and Jesus Christ, anyone who's done a uni degree, you know absolutely what I'm talking about. It's just garbage. It is just garbage content. It's just so much stuff that doesn't apply to the actual job. And especially, I work every day in a classroom. I'm in the class. In a primary school. I know exactly what teaching looks like. But here I am having to learn or study environmental management. Huh? Sociology. Huh? What's the other one? Oh, literature. But I, have to learn about poems and songs and, sonnets and essays and short stories and, like, oh my God, you see kids today, I mean, I'll tell you what, they struggle to write. They just struggle to write, period. I'm not sure that they're worried about these things. I'm also not sure where environmental management comes into teaching. And that genuinely doesn't mean your environment around you. That genuinely means the environment and about, what are we studying in this? Let's say, it's something fucking stupid like, are humans part of nature? I actually don't care. And I'm positive, 1000% positive, 8-year-olds aren't going to care. They care if humans are skibbity. Okay? They would care if nature can hit the gritty. They don't care if we are included in nature. Anyway, neither here nor there, but a lot on the mind. But you look ahead, and if you're ever sort of getting a lull at this time of the year, and I think it can get in a lull this time of the year, especially like being a Melbourne fan, it is awesome because we just fucking always win comps. But at the same time, we just always win comps. So you don't. I mean, for God's sakes, our whole spine's played, 4 or 5 games together the whole year, and we're still top of the table. Like, the season doesn't start for a Melbourne fan until finals. Do you know what I mean? That's the only time there's ever stakes for us. I remember, was it 2 years ago? We came 5th, and it was like Melbourne are done, finish, stick the fork in them. Incredible. But look, if you're ever in a lull with rugby league, there's nothing quite like a Thursday night barnstormer at Leichhardt Oval. The Tigers taking on the Cowboys to turn things around. Now, as I stated earlier in the episode, I want to tip with for the last 6 rounds, I'm going to tip with my head. For me to steal this throne, 8 times 6, 48. Okay. Doing maths, I had to do maths last semester for my teaching degree, again, primary school, and I was doing university-level trigonometry. Meanwhile, these children, many, struggle with 3 times 3. Anyway, neither here nor there. Absolutely neither here nor there. Look, my first instinct at this was, it is at... And look, the beauty of this, usually we record this and team lists haven't dropped. This week a little bit different. So I do have the benefit of having team list. But, and also I got a shout out for Stafford Toa. I mean, he's got to be the unluckiest guy in the comp this year. He's had 2 return games from hamstring injuries, and he's done his hamstring in both of those games. I mean, when it's just not your year, it's just not your year. Like, that is... I mean, what do you say to that? So, again, I know you listen, brah, but get well soon. Look, again, as I said, my instinct was, it's at Leichhardt. Tigers, I mean, all I know is this year they played well at Leichhardt. They might have only had 1 or 2 games. I think they won both of them. They at least definitely won once at Leichhardt. But... sorry, I'm not... Yeah, God, my voice, again... When you talk to children all day, you're not saying as much. Let's just say that. But so I lose my voice a bit though at work, and then I come and do this, and I'm having to talk like an adult, and it can get quite painful for my throat. Yeah, look, instinct says Tigers at Leichhardt play better, and you look at the Cowboys and you go, there's no Tamalolo and no Cotter. And I think Tamalolo's he's been awesome this year. He started the season slow, but he's been awesome. Every time I watch the Cowboys play this year, he just is still taking those tough carries. He's not going to play as many minutes. He mightn't have as big an impact, but he still can move. He can still bring guys, and he can still change a game. So that's huge losses. But yeah, look, like I said, again, my heart says Tigers at Leichhardt. My head says I I don't believe in them, and even if they're winning, they'll do something stupid. They just will find a way to do something stupid. And I know it was last year that they at Leichhardt they beat the Cowboys. What was it, 66-16, something crazy like that. No Luke Brooks, no result. I'm going the Cowboys. The Warriors take on the Eels. Sold out Mount Smart Stadium. The Wire selling out every game this year, or at the very least for the rest of the year. Unreal stuff. I believe they have 5 home games to finish the year. Now, I heard that from Rugby League Guru, so if I'm wrong, he's wrong. But if that's true, like, if they've not been playing good football, I think they'd sit at 12th place. But if they can make finals, like 5 sold-out games in New Zealand to finish the year, oh yeah. Oh yeah. If you know what, let's check that. Let's check that. Now I'm curious, because that just seems, that's crazy. So they got this week, then away next week. Then, no. What was he talking about? That's away. They got 2 home games. What was he doing? What the fuck is he talking about? They have 2 home games to finish the year. All right, I take that back. Maybe it was 5 home games. I don't know. I take it back. Guru's giving me misinformation. Anyway, that's how they're going to win. Is basically what I'm saying. Is having these home games where hopefully they can use that momentum and build something. Now, the interesting this week, Chance is back, goes straight into fullback, RTS in the wing. I like it. I don't like Roger in the centers. Yes, he played good at fullback, but I think Chance is your fullback. I think he is. So, I like that. Sean Johnson, back. Interesting to see. The fans apparently are back to liking him, so that's fun to see. He comes straight into the 7 jersey. Tamare Martin dropped from the side. Swift call. Like, just, yeah. That's interesting. That is a little bit interesting. I guess he's figuring that him and Chanel will work better together. I like Sean Johnson coming straight back in. I just hope for his sake and the Wire's sake that his body can hold on for the rest of the year. Besides that, obviously no Tohu, but pretty stock standard. Parramatta, again, obviously no Moses. Rest of the side looks pretty standard. At New Zealand, I'm going the Wires. I think, yeah, I think they're too good. And you know what? If there's one, like, I am absolutely a sucker for teams' media teams and the media content, like seeing the hype up videos and stuff. I'm such a sucker for it. I see it and I just go, they're going to win. Like, fuck, they're going to win the comp. And the Warriors, they're better than anyone at it. Every single Warriors video I see, I just go, they're winning the comp. They are so back. So they're so back. The Warriors get it done. The next game, the Dolphins take on the Roosters at Perth. Interesting enough. Ooh, Manu's back. So they have poor old Jennings is out of the side for the Roosters. Pretty standard sides. 4 forward bench for both teams. Very interesting. Besides Sean O'Sullivan, my apologies. Four forward bench. It is always risky. But look, I think the Roosters win. They get Manu back. They get their full lineup back. Dolphins hanging on by a thread. They did push, Penrith. Then they blew a big lead to Jesus Christ, to the Titans, sorry. Look, I think they'll be competitive like they always are. I don't see them getting it done. I'm going the Roosters. Next game, Titans take on the Broncos. Again, what are you going to get from either of these teams? the Broncos are desperate. So are the Titans. The Titans are sitting in 14th. Broncos 13th. So this is genuine. If you're thinking mathematically, whoever loses is officially out. But it's crazy to say that I believe in the Titans more than I do the Broncos. Now, it's at Gold Coast. Brimson in the reserves potentially comes in. I don't know. I just put him on the bench, I guess. But like, you look at that Broncos side, and it is just so fucking stacked. It is just so stacked. Selwyn Cobbo out. That was other news, sorry. Arrested apparently for domestic violence incident. Now, nothing official. So, innocent until proven guilty. But, if true, it's honestly, it's just sad. More than anything, again, no details, no proof. But it's just sad, regardless. But, what's probably sadder is that in round 22, I believe in the Titans more than the Broncos. So I'm going the Titans. Broncos will be desperate, but Jesus, if they weren't desperate last week, what will? At least the Titans are winning lately. Next game, Melbourne take on the Dragons at Amy Park. An interesting change to the side for Melbourne. Well, if you look at the Dragons, they get Sloan back. I believe it's pretty unchanged for that. Laurie comes into the side. For Melbourne, I love to see Howarth. Howarth and Anderson, they stick into those sides. I love it. I absolutely fucking love Jack Howarth staying in the centres. I love it, love it, love it. Munster, straight back into 6. He had one game off the bench last week, comes into 6. Makes all the sense in the world. Now, Faulongo goes to 18th man and Wishy to 14. Again, it makes all the sense in the world. Christian Walsh is hurt? Wow. I didn't realize that. Yeah, I didn't realize that. Look, it makes all the sense in the world. I just wouldn't be surprised to see Wishy. It's just interesting. Like, Faulongo, Wishy has to be in the side. He has to be in the side. Faulongo is a luxury. The Dragons, and it does make sense, I guess, in a game like this, the Dragons, when they're winning, their forwards dominate. They play a power game. So it does make sense to have that extra forward. Alec McDonald, I love it. The chin, have him on the bench. Bit more impact for this game, bit more forward momentum. Makes sense, but like I keep touching on, I would not be shocked at all to see a Wishy 13, Faulongo 14. Trent Leara on the bench combination. But either way, Melbourne too good. And again, you look at the Dragons, you write them off, I bet they'll come back and win this game. Like, do you know what I mean? That's just been them this year. You think they've got it together, they shit the bed. You write them off, they win. Like, yeah, but Melbourne too good. Next game, Saturday. The Sharkies take on the Rabbitohs. Mulatalo and Hazelton out for the Sharkies. Ooh. The Rabbitohs do get Cam Murray back. Yes, Cam Murray back. But they get Cam Murray back, which is obviously a huge inclusion. Again, 2 teams with 4 forward benches in this day and age. Very interesting. Mulatalo is a huge loss. He is a huge loss for the Sharks. So is Tommy Hazelton. Alex Johnson, he's a huge loss. I think Sharks. At Shark Park, it's 4 versus 15th. They're desperate to keep banking these wins. Rabbitohs are obviously desperate to get off the bottom. Mulatalo is a big loss. But I'm going the Sharks. I think the Sharks get it done. Next game, Penrith take on Newcastle. Penrith. Still no Edwards. Iongi comes in for Penrith, I believe. Yeah, this is going to be his debut. Very exciting. He comes on at fullback. Look, I just don't believe in the Knights. And it's a shame. Again, I tipped him to win the comp this year. I really thought they were going to carry that momentum from last year. But they are another team who unfortunately fits right into that second year syndrome. Has a huge year and then just falls apart the following. Now, what on one hand shocks me, but on the other hand doesn't shock me at all, is that Adam O'Brien has changed his halves once again. I can't fucking believe it. I've never seen a side, especially a side who went on such a run last year, change their combination more. This time he's gone for Gamble at 6, and he's gone for Phoenix Crosland at 7. Which means Brayley is at 9, and Cogger is at 14th. Meaning Hastings and Price, your halves combination, 3 weeks ago, are both in your reserves. I just... no wonder they haven't been able to build any fucking momentum this year. Now, I understand. Hastings is super conservative, so he needs his 6 to fire. Last year, when it was working so well, is that obviously Ponga was, when he came back, he was on fire, so that's your attack right there. And Gamble was playing excellent, so that's your flair right there. So that conservative playstyle from Hastings worked. This year, there's been no combinations, no Ponga, no combinations with the 6s. You haven't got that. Will Price came in, tried to do too much. It didn't work. Cogger didn't connect with him. Gamble to connect with Murley. It just hasn't worked. So who knows? Maybe this is the way to go. But we won't know because I guarantee in 3 weeks' time, this will be changed. But yeah, just crazy. Crazy. Newcastle too good. Final game of the round. The Doggies take on the Raiders. And it's at Belmore. I mean, if you weren't locking in the Bulldogs already, I mean, it's at Belmore. Lock them in. Interesting to see for the Doggies. Crichton back. Addo-Carr back too. The rest of the side unchanged. I think Blake Wilson, he's got to be one of the harshest done men in rugby league this year. You know, when old mate Addo-Carr came back earlier in the year, he was dropped for him. Addo-Carr has just, since leaving Melbourne, he hasn't hit that form. He hasn't hit form, period. Let's just call a spade a spade. He's a freak and he's a type player that can come back, and maybe he comes back, his body's right, his mind's right, comes back in form, kills it, adds another dimension to their team. But from based on this year, I just think that's Wilson's. Again, I know name value, I know resume. I think it's Wilson's spot personally. I think he's done more than enough to deserve it. But again, you know his reputation, so hopefully Addo-Carr comes back and kills it. But look, he's not going to hurt them. But I do think that's a tough call. But he's back in. Critter's back in. You know, for the Raiders, obviously Fogarty, another game. Interesting to see Big Red in the reserves. Does he play, his first game at NRL this year? That's crazy thing. He played, State of Origin last year, and this year he's played 2 NRL games. That's it. That's incredible. Wow, in 2022 and 2023, he played 22 games both years, won 12, lost 10 both times. Interesting. But either way, I'm going the Bulldogs. So to reiterate, I'm going the Cowboys to beat Tigers, Warriors to beat Parramatta, the Roosters to beat the Dolphins, the Titans to beat the Broncos, the Storm to beat the Dragons, the Sharks to beat the Rabbitohs, Penrith to beat the Knights, and the Bulldogs to beat the Raiders. the only upset of the entire round I'm tipping based off the punters is the Titans. So look, we're trying to turn things around, save the season. G's tips, we will get them in the list on @FintanG on Instagram. Give us a follow. So we'll put that up there so you'll get the champs tips. But as usual, look, you know, if you've got a second in your time, if you like the show, you like what you're hearing, like the content, if you could follow us on Instagram, if you could give us follow us on your platform of choice, like, subscribe, share it around, comment, rate, review, whatever you have to do. Takes you a second, helps us out a ton. But look, I've got my swagger back. So I guess I got my swagger back. Nailed it. Hooroo.